listening to the nation's premier source on health, beauty, and wellness. Detroit Nation with Dr. V. Elaine Arterberry. Lifestyle driven.
Hi, this is Dr. Elaine Arterberry for Detroit Nation, bringing you the latest on beauty, health, and wellness. We are absolutely committed to driving the nation to health, beauty, wellness, and are living the dream and are lifestyle driven. Our whole point at Detroit Nation is to showcase people from Detroit that are in the field of health, beauty, and wellness, and that are inspiring the nation. Today, we are here with the founder and director of Detroit Dirt, Pashon Murray. I'm so glad you're here. I have been waiting for you as a guest. I actually discovered you on Instagram, believe it or not. And I want to talk about, she is committed to having a sustainable culture in Detroit and reducing the carbon footprint. And your journey is really, really exciting. I have a zillion questions, but I want to start with, tell me about Detroit Dirt.
All right.
And tell me about yourself, and then Detroit Dirt.
Okay. Well, I grew up on the west side of the state, and so, you know, I went to an HBCU at Texas Southern, and I graduated in early 2000, like 2000. I walked in 2001. So when I came back to Grand Rapids, they were investing millions of dollars in sustainability.
Oh, yeah. Grand Rapids was kind of ahead of the game in that regard. Right.
So my father, I grew up in an entrepreneur family. So every now and again on the weekends, I'd jump in the trucks with him to go to the landfills or on tractors and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so that entrepreneur spirit. And then my family still had land in Mississippi, farming and, you know, just family gatherings. So, you know, I always say I'm standing on my ancestors' shoulders because my grandmother, her sisters, my family in Mississippi, all of that inspired me to do what I'm doing. So to me, the most inspirational thing about this is very spiritual because the soil connects everybody. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I grew up in Christian schools in Grand Rapids. It was a great community. But my HBCU experiences and going south has a lot to do with who I am today. And you know, I'm one of those people who I'm always trying to bring people together for the right thing. I've always done that. So my friends in high school, every time they hear about something or whatever, they're like, we already knew that about
you.
They
think it's passé? I think it's so novel. I'm like, OMG.
Yeah, so I love people and I love the spirit. I love to encourage and bringing people together. So this was my purpose. This was my destiny. I just ran from it for a little while and worked in corporate America.
Yeah, I heard you work for the NBA. So you ran from dirt and went to the NBA. Tell me about the NBA experience.
Well, I played sports. I grew up playing soccer and basketball, and I ran track. And so the corporate world, I was stuck in between working in sports and working in finance because I went to business school. That's my background is marketing, and I started off in finance and then went into marketing because there was less math classes.
You're so funny.
Less math classes.
I believe you.
So I had an opportunity when I was living in Houston to intern with Solomon Smith Barney, and I thought that's the career path that I was going to take was finance. Okay. But then one of my good friends, who's now the vice president of the Washington Redskins, I talked to him about working in the sports industry, so he made a couple of phone calls, and I had the opportunity of working for the Rockets.
Oh, wow.
But you know what? That experience was great, but in sports there's not a whole lot of money, and not that money drives me, but I really wanted to find my passion within marketing. Okay. And so that was a great stepping stone. But then I was still traveling and playing sports a little bit too, on traveling teams and going overseas. Right. So, but that was an awesome experience. It was corporate development. I learned how to, negotiate contracts. We saw Pepsi and Coke and Chevrolet.
So it's kind of helped you now a little bit. That experience. So isn't it funny how everything prepares you for everything? Every little thing prepares you for the next thing.
Everything, every step of the way has prepared me. And a lot of people think I'm younger than what I am. So, when they, send a submission or some type of application to say, do this 30 under 30, I'm like, I'm well into my 30s now. And I've worked in corporate America. I've worked in finance. I've learned from mentors in different industries. So everything. I'm so grateful because everything has been a blessing and been the stepping stone for my path today, where I can sit in a meeting and I'm listening to people talk about, you know, a contract, and I'm like, that's a little
or the
shaky.
Business plan. You can analyze it, right?
I can. I know my own projections. I know how to break down my own assumptions, and so, you know, instead of being this, you know, arrogant person when I'm sitting in a room, I allow people to give me their advice as well, because we can always learn from everybody.
And you can absorb it in.
We can absorb it. But when people are telling me things I don't disagree with, I try to, you know, approach that in the best way possible, because I know this business because I built it with my own hands.
And I want to talk about that. Tell me about, why did you name it Detroit Dirt? Tell people what Detroit Dirt is.
Well, Detroit Dirt is a closed loop system. It's a movement to get people to realize that the waste stream is not waste. You know, it's valuable. It's a resource. So you could put a dollar value on the waste stream. Food is very imperative that we keep food out of the landfills for a lot of different reasons, because of gas emissions, because of pollution, contamination.
But everybody's throwing food in the landfills.
Everybody throws food in the landfills, but when you go to other countries, I've traveled to many different countries, landfills don't exist. Right. So socially, economically, and environmentally, there's a benefit to us, you know, taking food out of the landfills, reusing it.
As compost.
Okay. And, you know, that closed loop system is we wanted to be able to get corporations to see that if they turn their food waste over to us, we could repurpose and reuse it, make soil and compost out of it, and then return it and distribute it back into the community. But the Detroit Zoo and General Motors were the key in getting this off the ground, because the zoo had herbivore manure, and
they have the true dirt, right?
They got the true dirt.
I don't want to say what most people call it, but we'll call it dirt for now.
Right. So that manure and the food waste that we were getting from the Chevy Volt plant in the beginning from General Motors.
So you're telling the cafeteria waste?
The cafeteria waste
from the plant.
From the plant, all organic. Greens, salad mixes, vegetables, fruit. All that is a key ingredient. And I wanted to make a premium product for urban farmers, gardeners, whoever wanted to use it, landscapers.
So you are developing the high-end dirt.
The high-end. That's what I...
I love it.
Those are my goals. But see, that was the universal language to bring people together, composting. Because I always say we're all connected to the soil. But my long-term vision was to do waste-to-energy projects. I really wanted to go in and show how the waste stream, how important it is, and you know, we can reduce, you know, our carbon footprint in our own households. We can reduce our own waste and save money, but the landfill, like 20+% of the landfill is food waste, which means that a lot of us are just wasting, whether we're corporations or individuals. Or
even we're just throwing the food out when actually it could be used to go back into the soil for plants, for gardens, for agriculture, and we don't have a system, I don't think, in the U.S. to deal with food waste. You get your recycling bin at home, but there's nowhere to put your food.
Yeah. San Francisco and San Jose, New York, and different cities around the country, they're starting to do this. Seattle, out west.
Is it because of you?
No. I'm not going to take the credit for that. I think a lot of scientists and experts years ago were leading up into this point where they knew, and they were working on different projects to get food out of the landfills and to really start composting and getting the anaerobic systems and in-vessel systems out there. I think now the federal government, the state government, we're starting to look at policies where we know this is just the right thing to do. We know we can't continue to be wasteful in this way. And I think out west, because it's more of an eco-friendlier environment, a lot of leaders in that industry have been working on it. I look at myself as a spokesperson. I've been blessed to be able to help promote the things that were already in existence, because farmers had, you know, I don't want to discredit farmers, but they have been practicing these, you know, ways, sustainable ways since the beginning of civilization.
Right.
You know, when I study ancient Kemet and the Egyptians and different people throughout civilization, they were actually using manure and, you know, composting and tilling soil and doing things of that nature. So, you know, I've had many leaders and people who are pioneering. I just think I was able to have a niche because I wanted to approach the automotive industry.
Right, which has, it's so interesting that you have automotive sponsors, because when you think of Detroit, you don't think of a sustainable community. We're so auto-driven, cars. We have a high carbon footprint as a society here in Detroit. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back again with Pashon Murray from Detroit Dirt.
Detroit Nation with Dr. V. Elaine Arterberry, driving the nation to health, beauty, and wellness.
We're going to skip Drivers of Change today because my producer said I need to do Drivers of Change. But I really want to talk about a recent event for you at the White House. You were at the White House recently. Your company was being featured. I want to hear all about it. What was it like to meet with Obama? Did you get to sit next to him?
I didn't get a chance to sit next to him. He did welcome us and talk to us. He talked to some individuals who had served in the Navy and the Marines, and they've actually started their own companies. But it was just an honor to be one of those 30 companies that were able to showcase what I was doing. And the Office of Technology, the head of that, Megan, she invited me out. Wow. And so it was historical. It was the first demo day, which really all of us entrepreneurs had a chance to show and showcase who we were and what we were doing.
So you didn't just have lunch, right?
No,
you didn't have lunch? What did you do? Like, you had to showcase. Did you bring some dirt?
Oh, yeah. They asked me to,
they asked you to
bring dirt. They said, bring some Detroit dirt. And I did do that. I had bags of dirt there, some stories, the features from Martha Stewart. Shinola has featured me. I bought a lot of literature. Team Detroit has been, my number one cheerleader.
Who is Team Detroit?
They're really like the ad agency and marketing for Ford.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, globally. And so Team Detroit, I have to take my hat off to, Toby Barlow and Lauren Crane and all of the individuals there who have helped me market and brand Detroit Dirt.
Detroit Dirt, right?
But they made some awesome displays and posters for me. Yeah, so they were responsible for the commercial.
We're going to talk about that commercial. Okay.
Yeah, so we're in the White House. I'm walking around the White House taking pictures of Jackie O, portraits of her.
Oh, yeah, portraits, right.
and different presidents and the Kennedys. They had this one area where they had these pictures of the Obamas.
They have their own wall.
Yeah, it was like the Obamas, and then the Kennedys were there.
Cute.
So I took pictures of that. But it was a pinnacle point in my life because I said, here I am in the nation's capital at the White House talking about this mission. And I met some phenomenal people from the Department of Commerce, and I met folks from the Office of Technology, science experts, and other entrepreneurs. So it was just great.
What was their response? I'm really interested because what you're doing is so fascinating in changing how people think about food and waste and not just recycling. I mean, it's a whole new thought process. What was their response to your company and what you've been doing? Were they blown away?
Yeah, they were. I'm kind of the oddball, like when I'm in Palo Alto or at the White House, because it's a lot of tech and app people who design. So I'm kind of like in this little category by myself. And the unique thing is I got such positive feedback because a lot of people wanted to know, why did you approach GM and Ford, and how did you get this person to say yeah? And you're taking waste and making compost, but it's the waste reduction. They were saying the idea around you pushing waste reduction is just awesome because we need to be more responsible. And so there was such positiveness, but a lot of women who are very powerful who were there, who were inspirational to me because they were saying you need to you're giving so many other people credit for why you were invited and why you're here. You're not giving yourself.
We never do that. Yeah. You know, women, we're always giving it to someone else, right?
Right. And so a lot of women who ran different corporations and Fortune 500s were, you know, encouraging me to, they said, you're a leader in this. And so, you know, take ownership in that. And, you know, that touched me. It brought tears to my eyes because I'm so busy trying to get people involved in the movement.
Right.
I diminish myself.
You don't focus
on me. Yeah.
And that may be part of your secret. I mean, my thinking about you is that the way you're framing this, certainly for our community and beyond, is that just like we have recycling bins, people are going to have the mentality of, I'm going to have a compost bin at home.
Right.
And we're not there yet.
No.
I mean, we got the blue. What color is your compost bin going to be? Because blue is recycling. Okay, so what color are you going to be? We all need a bin at home.
I say we should do green. Or gold.
Gold.
Because it's the black gold. You know, compost is like the black gold.
It is the black gold, yeah.
You know, but building a culture around this, to your point, it takes time. And a lot of people are interested, a lot of corporations. The responsibility, people are stepping up to take the responsibility. And now the government wants to start looking at how to design, you know, or create policies around it. So building the culture for this, it's a blessing to be able to be one of the leaders who can go in a room and kind of map out and talk to people about the future, because this is about the next generation. I mean, what we do today, once we start practicing more sustainability, recycling, and looking at how much money we spend, we can reduce what we spend at the grocery stores, because we find things in the refrigerator after 6 or 7 days that we can't use or that we don't want, or we discard it. But we could be feeding the homeless from wasted food. We could be making, you know, products and recycling from it. There's so many different layers to this movement, but the culture for me is about shifting the mind frame and getting people to see that we are what we eat.
And, absolutely.
You know, and also when we think about, you know, what we buy and what we do. So for me, it's about getting people to see the bigger picture that, you know, if we can come together, you know, in the next 5 years and start to shift and eliminate that food from going and diverting it from the landfills, the children who are coming up behind us, it will be an automatic lifestyle for them, you know, but we have to start it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I want to ask you about that infamous commercial. I saw that, the Cadillac commercial. Tell me how it got started. The Cadillac commercial with the guy who looks like he's in Hollywood Hills, and people they lambasted the commercial, and then you came on. Tell me about that experience.
Yeah, well, Toby Barlow and the Team Detroit family or group, you know, they called me one day when I was out composting, because I still go out and pick up, you know, we pick up from different companies 3 or 4 times a week. Right. So I was out on the road going to make a pickup for somebody, and they said, you know, we have this idea, and so they're all talking to me on conference calls.
Have they already seen the Cadillac commercial?
Yeah.
And everybody hated it. Advertising age, everybody.
Yeah, so they asked me, they said, have you saw the Cadillac ELR commercial? And I'm like, I said, I think I might have seen it. Yeah. Was there a cool car or something in it? And they were like, no, we want you to hear the message of this guy and what he's saying.
The capitalist message.
Right. So they said, hang up, we're going to send it to you, look at the commercial, and then call us back. So I looked at the commercial, and, you know, I thought, well, I did see this commercial, but I didn't pay attention. Right. But when I heard what he was saying, I was like, oh, that doesn't really represent the America people.
And Cadillac, really.
Right. Right. And so, I called them back, and they said, look, we have an idea. We want to somewhat do like a spoof. This isn't about General Motors. General Motors is not our enemy. We're not trying to, you know, be negative or condescending about what they've done. But we want to showcase someone from Detroit and show, you know, what they're doing and how positive, you know, we want to create a positive message and show them how you're impacting the community. We don't want it to be this message of, you know, arrogance or here's this guy and, you know, he was all about what he was doing and the American people. We want you to show the American people.
Because you're really doing it.
Right. We want you to show the working
So the commercial
class.
was your concept. Yeah. And I heard you had a ton of YouTube hits. Tell me about that. And how did that commercial change Detroit Dirt?
Yeah, so we got 1 million hits within a week. And
oh my goodness.
Tons of awards came with that. The ad form, we had the number, Time.com ranked us number 3 in 2014 for ads, and it changed my life. That commercial
really,
changed
that one
my
commercial.
Life. Yeah, it changed my life because I got letters from people all over the country, emails, teachers and scientists saying, you brought something sexy to this environmental movement.
That's so cute.
Right. And we've talked to our children in classrooms about you, that you represent the future, and it was just very inspirational.
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry.
But it was a pinnacle moment for me because I got a chance to really tell part of my story. And so a lot of women, even at the White House, they were like, this is really real. Like when we saw the commercial,
it was fake?
they were like, we just thought that you were in the commercial,
right?
And, telling
they
this.
Planted you in the commercial. Really?
They're like, you really have this business. And so, it was interesting to get all the different feedback. But the thing that moved me the most is there was every demographic, from teenagers to women, white males who were soil scientists. I mean, it was just so many people who had something encouraging to say to me to keep going, and they were proud of me. And
from a Detroit perspective, it was the most powerful commercial I've seen, and it rivals the Eminem Super Bowl commercial to me.
Thank you. I agree with you.
Making an impact on Detroit. I don't want to end but we have a moment in the show where we call it our lifestyle driven moment. I want you to tell our listening audience, I want you to tell them the one thing you think people need to do. I mean, you are such a big entrepreneur. You're such a visionary. What can you share with other people that they need to do to work through or change their lives and make it happen for them?
I think that, we have to think about our past and the people who fought and died for us to get to where we are today. And, the environment is something that's precious, that God has given us. It's a spiritual thing, and we have to be responsible about who we are. This is not a game. It's very serious. Climate change is real. Weather changes over periods of time. We don't have to argue about the science behind that. We can see it. We've experienced it.
Oh my God, it's hot. Everywhere.
Right.
And cold everywhere.
So whatever we need to do, we need to make changes individually and collectively, and come together and start, setting goals, pressuring the government, pushing policies for the environment. We have to take care of nature. It's our responsibility. We can't continue to be wasteful and do what we want to do. We have to do what's right, because the children, they definitely are the future. But once again, to reiterate, we have to change who we are in our practices. So recycling more, reading, educating yourself. Take the time to educate on what you can do personally in your own life. Can you drive less? Can you, get a ride with a friend? Right. Can you, what foods are you eating? Are you supporting local farms?
Right.
Support local businesses. Empower the local community, so we can connect, globally on this mission. So what has been most divine is that the UN recognized me in November.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, but the divine thing about that is they slated 2015 as the year of soils, and it's not because of me, but I'm just saying, here I am spiritually working on this mission to make a difference, and to have the UN, that in 2015 to read about and talk to different people about them slating 2015 as the year of international soils was huge, which said to me that all the leaders around the world who are working on this mission, it's happening. It's
real.
Evolving.
It's not fake.
It's
not at all.
It's real. So I just encourage people to make the difference within themselves, to educate themselves on the environment and how they can do or impact nature on their own too.
I was mesmerized by the commercial where you say anything is possible. Do you believe anything is possible?
Absolutely. The struggles that I have, people don't really see that. They don't see that I was funding a lot of this on my own. I didn't have a lot of support financially. And so to be on the west side of Detroit on a 2.5 acre plot, and then be called to the White House, or to be sitting with Ford's Global Sustainability Group on a panel talking about the future. Only God can shift and move and do those types of things. That's so spiritual. That's beyond a billionaire making the phone call or the person writing the check for me, because those invitations, it wasn't about individuals or the power of individual people. It was about a message and a spirit that is starting to move. So only the awards and sitting down and talking to Martha Stewart and, being interviewed for all these different magazines, and there's more to come down the pipeline, and talking to Terry Crews when he came into town, and I filmed on the Travel Channel, with him, and PBS has reached out. So only the spirit could move something like that. Only.
It's not. Are you saying it's not you?
It's not.
It
me.
Looks like it's you.
It's beyond me. It's beyond me, and it's beyond words, because so many people have helped me along the way, but I can only be responsible for the things that I'm doing, and so I'm trying to build. I am building. I shouldn't say try, building a platform to educate, to bring people together. And this is between me and God. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, when I'm frustrated and I don't get the funding or the support for something, I always go back to the main source as to why I'm doing this, and I'm okay at the end of the day. When I got sick a month ago, that was a time for me to filter and to build a more intimate relationship with God.
What did you do with that downtime? Because it kind of forced you to take a little downtime, didn't it?
Yeah, and I'm still down because I can't travel just yet. The doctors haven't cleared me to travel. It gave me, I put things in perspective. So I'm writing a book.
Ooh,
and there's some different celebrities who are going to help with the forward and things like that.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I'm going to leave that, that's
will you come back and talk about that?
I will.
Okay, good.
I will. It gave me time to put my life in perspective and to say, slow down, because spiritually I just needed to slow down to regroup. But when I did that, the White House invitation came right after I got out of the hospital.
Uh-oh.
So that was meant to be.
So nothing stopped, really?
Nothing stopped, but spiritually that was, when that happened, I said, what if I had gotten sick and I wouldn't have been able to go there? So the message in that was to slow down and be patient and yield, and good things were going to come. And now the Department of Commerce and different funders and other people around the country are saying, what is it that you need? That never happened to me.
Are you telling me that didn't happen before?
No.
Not like that?
Not like that. No.
You were out, trying to get sponsors. Now they're coming to you?
They're coming to me, exactly.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I said, well, Lord, if this is what I had to go through, almost dying because the blood clot went from my leg to my heart and my lungs, and I still have to get tested, and they're still working with me, and I'm taking blood thinners and things like that. But I will be in Detroit until they tell me that I can get back on the road. But the White House, I drove there.
Yeah, you could drive, right?
Right. But in my downtime, it helped me to put things in perspective, to really prioritize what I'm supposed to be doing. So now it's about scaling the business, writing the book, and continuing to advocate and doing what is right.
I think it's wonderful. I wanted to ask you one more thing, because we only have like another minute. You were working with that Idea Lab at MIT. Tell me a little bit about that, about perfecting soil for different things. I mean, I don't think people think about dirt like you think about dirt. Now you're making me think about dirt, that you have certain dirt to grow flowers and certain dirt to grow vegetables. And then the soil can almost be customized. It's like boutique or bespoke, as they like to say in the clothing industry, bespoke dirt.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Can you make it like that?
Yeah. The dynamic in this is there's been experts around since before I was born, but a haven and an institution like MIT, that's like one of the best schools in the world,
right.
When it comes to technology. I mean, they work with NASA and they work with all of these, the government. And so Joey Ito, who is like one of my heroes, he's one of those like powerful people that folks really the tech world knows about him, and you know, the elite schools, they know him. But when that invitation was extended to me to become a fellow, what I wanted to do is basically go in and talk to the media lab. It's the media lab. I wanted to talk to them about, you know, the bacterias within the food and the soil. What can we do to decompose or speed up the decomposition rate?
Right, so you can make the compost faster.
So we can make more compost. What should human beings be eating? You know, how are these soils structured? What's the biology in them? I don't have a biology background, so what I do a lot of times is research. So I wanted to build a relationship with him where we could research soils and reach out to different experts to help us. So how does the bacteria engage with each other? What's best for flowers? What's best for food grade? You know, and so that we're still in the infancy stages, and we're creating and trying to figure out which specific groups that we want long-term to be working on this. And
that's a fabulous project.
Yeah, I'm excited about it because I always say that compost is the root of the soul, you know, and we have to understand what this dirt and water are very important. It's our future. It's our, where would we be without it? So we have to, you know, take this into consideration. And so for me, it's about evolving and getting people to understand what dirt, what compost, what soil
and understand that language. Yeah. Oh, Pashon, it has absolutely been a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. I've been dying to talk to you. I'm like, I wish we had a little bit more time. But thank you to our listeners for listening to Detroit Nation. We're lifestyle driven to bring you the best in beauty, health, and wellness. And today we're bringing you the best by bringing you Pashon Murray. Turn in next week, and as always, achieve your personal best, then beat it. This is Dr. Arterberry with Detroit Nation. See you next week. Follow us at 313 Nation Radio, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Detroit Nation with Dr. V. Elaine Arterberry, driving the nation to health, beauty, and wellness. Lifestyle driven.